Good afternoon and welcome to Sus News. I'm Harry Allen.
And I'm Elisha Gardener, and here are today's headlines.
US President Donald Trump has authorised military airstrikes against Syria. This has been in response to chemical weapons attack that killed dozens of civilians earlier this week. The President authorised the attack on the airbase where the chemical weapons were held.
A record number of GPs have closed this past year, forcing over 250,000 people to find new surgeries. The NHS have pledged to invest £2.4 billion into the GP practices by 2020.
Brighton and Hove buses are increasing their cash fares in an effort to encourage faster smartphone tickets. This is to help congestion so that the bus services can run more efficiently.
The US have launched a military airstrike against Syria targeting the airfield, which supposedly launched a nerve gas attack this week. 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired from 2 US Navy ships in the Mediterranean. The Associated Press is reporting that a Syrian official says at least 7 people were killed and 9 were injured. Michael Fallon, the UK's Defence Secretary, says the UK is in full support of the missile strike, saying that he and the Prime Minister were kept informed throughout, describing the attack as limited and inappropriate. The Russian Foreign Ministry is accusing the US of pre-planning the strikes before the gas attack happened, describing the airstrikes as an act of aggression that damaged the US-Russian relations.
Brexit tensions have risen between Spain and Britain after negotiations for the Rock of Gibraltar. Britain have claimed that the Spanish border control are deliberately causing traffic jams as their political response to the disputes. The two governments have held discussions about the future of Gibraltar to try and stop the situation from escalating any further. Adi Obebe has more on the story.
Prime Minister Theresa May and European Council President Donald Tusk have met to discuss the way ahead on Brexit, the focus being on how to lower tension about Gibraltar. Their meeting at Downing Street follows former Tory leader Michael Howard, suggesting that the UK could go to war with Spain over Gibraltar as it did with Argentina over the Falklands in 1982. However, the Prime Minister insists that there should be no change to the status of Gibraltar without the consent of its people. Mrs May has stated that the UK would seek the best possible deal for Gibraltar as the UK exits the EU. Gibraltar voted by over 96% to remain within the EU, in a high turnout of 83% of the electorate. Shortly after the referendum, Gibraltar's Chief Minister Fabian Picardo entered discussions with Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon to draw up plans to remain part of the EU. We speak to Brexit expert Professor Ivor Gaber, who has this to say.
Even if Donald Tusk and Theresa May get on like a house on fire, it's not that simple. And also, he's not leading the negotiations. Michel Barnier, the Frenchman, is leading the negotiations. The Gibraltar is quite an emotional issue on one level because there's a lot of people, particularly the people who live in Gibraltar, desperate it stays part of Britain. And although the EU itself probably wouldn't want to get involved in Gibraltar, Spain certainly would.
Prime Minister May has stated that the UK looked forward to formally beginning negotiations once the 27 member states agreed upon the guidelines. Both May and Tusk agreed that the tone of discussions had been positive on both sides, and they will keep in touch as the negotiations progress. I'm Adi Ababa for Sus News.
The Brighton and Hove Bus Company have planned to increase fares in order to prevent traffic congestion in busy periods. The increase in cash fares on board a bus will come as an inconvenience to passengers. However, they hope this will increase pre-bought tickets via the online app.
Increasing its fare, covering the central area from £2 to £2.20. This would be the first rise in 5 years. The company says increasing congestion in the city has largely contributed to the bus operator reviewing its annual fares to encourage a change in behavior in its customers towards buying tickets in advance to prevent delays to journeys. The 1.5% increase in revenue from the change will hopefully help the bus operator to maintain service levels of buses severely affected by congestion-related delays. It will still be possible for people to avoid this change by buying a Centrefare M ticket on the Brighton and Hove Buses app for £2.
According to the NHS, there has been a significant increase in the number of people having received treatment in Sussex as a result of dog attacks. The NHS claimed that within the last 4 years, the number of hospital admissions have increased by 300%, with over 1,200 being recorded. These results have come after several incidents of people being attacked, including a toddler who was harmed by a dog in Kent. It suggested that the rise in the number of dog attacks could be down to irresponsible owners not training their dogs properly, failing to keep them on their leads, and not securing them with a muzzle. As a solution, behaviourists are now asking for owners to speak out more on any issues relating to dog training.
A record number of GP practices were closed last year, which has forced over 200,000 people to find new surgeries. This has put pressure on the government to address the issue of a growing NHS crisis. The government have vowed to put more money into the NHS into GP services by 2020, but Brighton was still impacted by these closures. We spoke to Lean Saeed about the issue. Hi Lean, so what happened with the closures? What happened with the closures?
Well, out of the 92 practices that did shut, 58 closed down completely, while 34 merged with other local surgeries so they could pool resources.
What else is the government doing to help?
Sorry?
What else is the government doing to help?
Oh, they're investing £18 million into the resurfacing of the NHS. Over the past 2 years, GP closures have forced 265,000 patients to find new doctors. 100 practices were shut down in 2016, a 114% rise in GP closures. This drop in numbers has caused clients to travel further in search of healthcare. New data revealed by the GP website, Pulse, has shown that family doctors are not able to cope with the increased demand in patients. Brighton was significantly affected when 9,000 patients were forced to move after 4 practices were closed. Over the past 2 years, there has been a total of 7 closures in the city. Senior doctors have also spoken about how government funding was not being targeted correctly. This is despite the NHS announcing its GP View plan last year, promising to invest £2.4 billion into services by 2020.
The Brighton Marathon takes place this Sunday, and for over 30 years it has been one of the most popular running events in the country. The event village is being held at Madeira Drive on Brighton seafront and starts at Preston Park. The competitors will run a route that takes them past many of the city's landmarks, like the I-360, Brighton Pier and the Royal Pavilion. The event village opens today, and participants can now go and pick up merchandise and get top tips from experts on the event. Spectator hotspots include Brighton Bandstand and the North Lanes, and the event organisers have said that these areas will be the most vibrant on the day, so get down there on Sunday to support the runners.
Plans for a newly built swimming pool is set to arrive in Brighton in the next few weeks, with the lead up to the summer period. Plans for the redevelopment has been underway over the past 2 years, and the developers are ready to split them. The new attraction is set to increase Brighton's tourism, along with helping local businesses in the city of Brighton and Hove. Amy Bashwaya has more on the story.
Plans to build a new swimming complex here on Brighton seafront are set to go ahead. Simon Murray from Swimtrek, one of the developers behind the £4.5 million project, told the Argus that the plans to build a public pool could be submitted within weeks, with a potential opening being in the summer of 2019. The 50-metre heated pool is planning to be built where the Peter Pan playground currently stands. The pool will be promoted as the National Centre for Open Water Swimming and is hoping to regenerate the Madeira Drive area. Cots Mill Properties, Swimtrek, Swim Energy and We Like Today are the developers funding this project. We spoke to people in Brighton on whether they think the proposed scheme is likely to bring better business to the surrounding areas.
People will come here anyway, and they're either maybe going to go in the sea or they're going to go in the pool, and it's not going to make too much of a difference.
The more people we can get down here, the more business there is for all the businesses along here.
Concerns were raised last year by Historic England about the overall amount, height and density of the project. Murray has said that the proposed redevelopment on Madeira Drive terraces would have put them in a better position. But he believes the pool, also known as Sea Lanes, could be a standalone attraction, like the beach sports-based attraction Yellow Wave, located next to the proposed location. With under 20 swimming pools local to Brighton and Hove, this public pool is expected to be a popular attraction, not only for residents in Brighton, but for tourists too. This was Amy Bosher, Sus News.
That's all your news for now. See you again. Oh my god.